Let me confess at the very outset that the invitation for this talk kind of unnerved me. My lady professor friend says, "Are you going to give an Uncle Ji address to that generation which is apart from you by almost half a century?" And I thought about it. And today I think it's a privilege to address these young minds. But let me start by talking about my own dreams, which started from a grey sandstone building called St. Xavier's on the banks of Ganga, which is the lifeline of North India. And like all of you, some of you who want to become Virat Kohli or some dashing other batsman or wicket keeper, I wanted to become an ML Jaisimha, the dashing opening bat from Hyderabad. I wanted to sing like Mukesh. I also wanted to dance like Elvis Presley. I wanted to be an army general like Brigadier Dalvi, who fought in that Indo-China war in 1962 so bravely. I wanted to become a member of parliament like my father. But you know, the real idol which I had in my life was Chacha Nehru. Chacha Nehru was the Prime Minister of India who loved children. And the children gave him back in equal measure their affection. So I thought, as a school student, I'm eminently qualified to meet the great man because I'm doing well. In class 4, when I did reasonably well, my father asked me, "What would your medal be?" I said, "To meet Chacha Nehru." So he booked me a third-class ticket from Patna to Delhi. And there I was in the central hall of the parliament, standing on one of the benches in my shorts and white shirt. And I saw a flurry of activity on the left side of the central hall opening door. And there was my icon with his white cap, rosebud in his achkan. And my dad told him something in the ear, and he walked briskly towards me. And when he came near me, he says, "You wanted to see me?" I stumbled. I said, "Yes, yes." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because I stood first in my class." So he slapped me hard and said, "You like studies?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Cricket?" I said, "Yes, yes." He said, "What about ice cream?" I said, "I love it." So he asked somebody to give me Keventer's ice cream, and he walked off. Those 30 seconds of my meeting, I have always conjured in my memories. He became my hero. He became my idol. I read his discovery of India. I didn't know much English then. But I remembered his lines. "The future is dark and uncertain, but no danger overwhelms the man which has survived so many perils and disaster." Discovery of India was all about history and traditions of India. And that gave me a kind of a quest to know more. My dad, seeing my interest, gave me the Hindi translation of Raja Gopalachari's Mahabharata. It was history so steeped, you can call it mythology. But love, valor, passion, sacrifice, everything was there. It got me further initiated into historical fiction. And I read Acharya Chatursen, Vaishali Ki Nagar Vadhu. India's history, India's tradition, India's culture is something you must imbibe. You know, in 1996, I went to Atlanta. I was a member of the security advisory team, international security advisory team to Atlanta Olympics. And there I saw how dreams actually matter. In a 90,000 packed stadium, Bill Clinton was there, the president, and Celine Dion, that famous singer, sang that song, The Power of a Dream. It was sensational. The theme was how you convert your dream into reality. And imagine there were thousands of athletes out there. Athletes who were gunning for just one thing. That was gold. To get recognition for the country. And that single-minded focus brought the entire athletes together. Each one respecting the other. The respect for peers, the respect for equals. And that's something which in the mind, which should be in the mind of every schoolboy or girl. There are teachers in life who teach you so many things. I met your teachers yesterday. They command the highest respect. They command the highest focused attention from you. One of the teachers who I adopted was President Abdul Kalam. And it was by accident. I was in the Intelligence Bureau and looking after the VIP security division. And one day, the Director Intelligence Bureau called me and said, go and meet Mr. Kalam. He was not the president then. He was the principal scientific advisor to the Prime Minister. And he was supposed to go for a speaking assignment to Pune. I said, what should I tell him? He said, just tell him that there's a grave threat. And what is his decision? Would he still like to go or leave it? I went to the Asiad guest house, where I saw the man working at his desk. I introduced myself. He made me sit down and asked me, yes. I briefed him about the threat. He was silent for a few seconds and then he says, would you protect me if I go? I said, sir, with all our might and lives too. That was the man. That was his courage. An amazingly powerful man, threatened by many nations' security agencies. So humble, but so courageous. I happened to travel with him as his chief security liaison officer, officially on his trips abroad. He was most keen to meet students. He was most keen talking to college students. And look at his simple solutions. Pura, provision of urban services to rural areas. One of your teachers is a wizard in maths. He wanted such people to teach 5 poor children in maths. Because maths is our weak area. And maths, I think, is the most important subject at the level of school. That was Abdul Kalam. My civil services career gave me a lot of opportunities. It gave me a lot of successes. It gave me a lot of failures. It was a struggle. One day you meet with success and the other day you're down in the dumps. But that's life. And that's how you go along. How I got into the IPS was extremely, unintentional. After finishing from Delhi School of Economics, where all my batchmates were appearing for some job or the other, or giving some exam or the other, I was also applying for various places. And my mother asked my dad, my mother being a metric fail, didn't understand much of these application and forms. So she asked my dad, what is he getting these signatures from various people? And my dad told her he's trying to sell some soaps and shampoos. To get that job, he's filling all those forms. That's the day I applied for the UPSC and got in by pure luck. The best are the ones who may not get. So if on your lucky day, God makes you lucky, you get in. But IPS gave me a sense of purpose. IPS let me see the India and world. The most important part of India is the rural India, where you see the farmers' suicides and joys. You see the barren lands and you see the lush green. It leaves a deep imprint on your heart. I remember as Subdivision Police Sihor, as a young man of 25 years, in that scorching heat, when you're going out in your jeep with your gunman at the back and the driver by your side with that thermos with that green felt cloth around it, and you see the barren fields in the distance, and there you see a well where you go to have a bucket of water. And then at the nearby hut, you meet an old lady who tells you about the village fights, the village elders, the government programs, farmers' difficulties, police brutality. It's an education you can never get anywhere else in life. So if you're grounded in reality, if you know the rural India, if you read about it, you will learn a lot. And that will really make you a man or a complete woman. As I said earlier, there are successes and there are failures. They may break you, or they may be able to spur you on. I remember my first test was as SP Sihor, when at night I had gone to Ashta, about 60 kilometers away, to resolve an issue. There was a murder, and two communities were fighting. They were planning a big procession and demonstration the next day. I had a meeting with all of them, and I realized that I'd be able to manage it. Lo and behold, the next day, 6:30, the local intelligence unit tells me that a huge procession is being organized and a demonstration. At 8 o'clock, I rang up my friend, Collector Chaco, and landed up in Ashta. And boy, I was scared. If anybody tells you, like like S.M. Manekshaw said, that he's not scared in dangerous situations, then either he's a liar or he's a Gurkha. The general had led his Gurkha troops in a tremendous way. So when I was there, I saw the entire highway blocked, trucks on both sides. There were about 350 people with the dead body right in the middle, throwing stones, and there was a general kind of a huge confusion. Suddenly, I requested Chaco to go on the cart and say Bhaiyo and Behno, while I was trying to marshal my troops, the ragged troops. And I told them, when I give the signal, then you fire the tear gas shell. And there he didn't understand and he fired. So I put my head in my hands and I realized today is the ultimate. But when I saw, the crowd had cleared. So we ran with the body to the Shamshan, and that was a kind of a victory. It was totally accidental, but the success came. So these successes and failures basically turn a man out of you. In Pakistan, in 2004, when I went, I was selected to assess whether the Indian cricket team can visit Pakistan and the conditions are all right. Those were the days of terrorism. The great man Bajpayee wanted peace, wanted cricket diplomacy. So we went to Peshawar, Multan, Faisalabad, Karachi, and all these places. And I questioned that a man from India, how does he exercise any authority here? Should we go ahead with the tour or not? But I said, when my leader wants to give peace a chance, why not? And we went ahead. The tour was fine. But let me tell you, 3 years later, Quite a few of those places were bombed, and the Lankan team on that same route we followed were attacked and ambushed. This was a risk we took, but it was worth it. Come back to school. What are the things you take back from here? Not only degrees, ethos, discipline, life-changing habits. I remember still Miss Gurtu playing on her harmonium. Kaisi niksi chandni sharad raat madhumat bikal bhai in Rag Bahar. Music, empathy, treating the peers, treating your elders with the utmost respect. In the end, you'll see, is the professionalism which is most important. You should be known for one subject, one art, and one game. And in the end, let me tell you, this should be your theme. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the ones you did. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Thank you.